Welcome to day 27 of the 30-day Bible study challenge. Today we are in 1 Timothy 5, 3 through 8. This is talking about widows. It's kind of a longer section, but let's get going. Give proper recognition to those widows who are really in need. But if a widow has children or grandchildren, they should learn first of all to put their religion into practice by caring for their own family and so repaying their parents and grandparents, for this is pleasing to God. The widow who is really in need and left all alone puts her hope in God and continues night and day to pray and ask God for help. But the widow who lives for pleasure is dead, even while she lives. Give the people these instructions so that no one may be open to blame. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. All right, so widows in this time period, like we talked before, females were pretty much destitute. They couldn't really get a job like they could now. They were very much second-class citizens, and they just, honestly, if they didn't have help, they were pretty much hopeless. They have to, I don't know, they couldn't eat and stuff like that. So it was really desperate for them. And so this passage is talking about caring for them. So if someone who was who had lost their husband, or at this time a lot of unbelievers, if they might divorce their wife if she became a believer. So it was really intense becoming a Christian. You could get killed and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that happened with that. So say you have an older lady who was a widow, and her family was first responsible for taking care of him. And this time period in the world, or even secular, even the Greeks and stuff like that, they saw taking care of your family members, your father and mother and your grandparents, as one of the primary duties of any child. That if you were in a Greek society and you were found not to have taken care of your father and mother that were in their older age, you wouldn't be allowed to vote any of the kind of things. You wouldn't be allowed to speak in the forums. You're basically a social outcast. The Jews were very much about taking care of their elderly parents and stuff like that. And most of the time they lived together. Like the children would grow up, parents would get older, and they wouldn't be able to work, and they wouldn't be able to move around as much. And the children would live in the house and get married, and they would take care of their parents. That was part of what they would do. And so this time period, the church would say, an older lady that was a Christian that was a widow, that if she didn't have anyone to take care of her, then, the church was responsible. People of the church were responsible for taking care of either taking them in or providing food and stuff like that for them. There was actually an order of widows in the early church. That's what it was called. It was older ladies that their responsibility was to help take care of the elderly, that they would pray for them, that they would do stuff that nurses do, like, older people, sometimes they can't move and stuff like that, go to the bathroom and stuff, and this was the responsibility of the church. Nowadays, we just think, the government won't take care of these people, or they got to live off Social Security and stuff like that. But as Christians, it's our responsibility to take care of our family and our relatives. It talks about in the last verse of this chapter, it says in verse 8, anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. It's huge statement right there. But it is really true that our first priority is to love people. The first and greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, strength, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And we love God by loving others. And so if we aren't even willing to take care of our own family members, that means we aren't loving. That means we're selfish, and we're looking after ourselves. I've known several Christian families that have had very old and not able to take care of themselves at all, relatives that have lived for them for 10, 15 years, and it's been really hard, but they know that that's what they're supposed to do. And it's just they love their parents, or they love their older relative, whoever it might be. And so this is something that, it can be really financially draining on someone and stuff like that. But it is our responsibility, it's our task. We got to trust God that He's going to take care of us as we take care of our older relatives. And and I think about this as too. It's not just your family members. It's part of the church. You should be looking out after older there's older folks that need some help. There's a lot of times there's a couple in our church that's in their 90s and they're still living in their house. And go by and see them, and sometimes have younger people go do yard work for them because they can't do it. They're just unable to. And we want to bless those people, and they really are a blessing on us too with their they're just always smiling, giving advice and stuff like that. And so I really just encourage you guys to think about someone that's older than you that you could just bless, that you could just love on, and just that, because that's part of what we're supposed to do as a Christian, and you'll be blessed in return. All right, that's the end of day 27 of the 30-day Bible Study Challenge. I will see you guys tomorrow.